Hello and welcome to IB Revising. For this video, I will be showing you how to first come up with a research question and then designing an experiment in order to carry out a successful internal assessment investigation. The most important part of the IA writing process is to find a topic or a research question that you feel comfortable with. So while you're in class, it's a good strategy to write things down during that you can keep in mind for later and try and see if you can get a research question out of it. In my case, the teacher mentioned that placing a third polarizer between two that were canceling each other out would in fact allow light to pass through. So I've changed this and turned it into a research question by asking myself, what are the impacts of changing the angle of a central polarizer on the intensity of light that passes through the final polarizer? The reason that I stuck with this research question was because I could find a lot of useful data out of it, and I was able to carry out at least 3 trials that gave me consistent data with very few outliers, and it would give me large enough uncertainties that I would be able to find a relationship between the independent and dependent variable. So the next step in the process will be to carry out a preliminary experiment that'll allow you to test the viability of the research question and also if you will get enough data out of it in order to be able to analyze it. When I carried out my preliminary experiment, I realized that the sensitivity on my light sensor was in fact too low. So since I was dealing with a very small light bulb or light source, I realized that I had to increase the sensitivity of the light sensor. And I made sure to mention this in my internal assessment, just for the extra personal engagement marks. When you are carrying out the preliminary experiment, make sure to write down all the variables involved. So the independent variable, that's what you change. So in my case, it would be the angle of the central polarizer. The dependent variable, which is what you'll measure, and in my case that was the intensity of the light that passed through, and the controlled variables. And this can vary from experiment to experiment, but make sure to write down as many as you can think of because you will have to reference this in your evaluation. Now, if you feel like your preliminary experiment is working and you think you can carry out an investigation into your research question, then the next part will be to carry out the data collection process. When presenting your data, make sure that the number of decimal places is consistent. Even if the value is, for example, 14, you should make sure that it was 14.0 if all of your other values are to 1 decimal place. Also make sure to include the uncertainty in the header of the trial. If you took analog measurements, make sure that it is to 1/2 the small scale division, and if it's a digital measurement, make sure that it's 1 unit of the smallest scale division. When you are processing your data, make sure to give example calculations for the uncertainty and the average of your values. Then you can move on to your graph. If there are any outliers in your data sets, which makes it so that the graph does not pass through all of the points, make sure that you omit it and write why you did so in the IA. Then, when you're concluding your internal assessment, make sure that you answer your own research question and state everything that you've found. Then you can move on to talking about the significance of your data. Perhaps you can gain some personal engagement marks by talking about the potential applications of this knowledge. And just make sure to have 1 paragraph in the end of your conclusion just stating how you would expand the experiment or to how you would take it further if you were to carry it out again. Now, when you're moving into your evaluation, you will have to evaluate the impact of the controlled variables on the results that you have gotten in your internal assessment. So whether they have a high significance, medium significance, or low significance, you have to state why you believe that they may have had that impact on your data, and also the ways that you could have improved them. If you're still struggling with writing your internal assessment or even finding a research question, I will leave my internal assessment that was written for the graduating class of M21 in the description below as soon as I've graduated and received all my results. So you'll be able to use it as a reference and maybe copy the structure if you feel like it's good. That'll do it for us today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you found it helpful, and stay tuned for more videos in the future. Bye-bye.